If you're new to Dead by Daylight and you feel like you're constantly losing, I want you to know it's not your fault. From the moment you launch the game, the odds are stacked against you, and today I'm going to show you exactly how. Dead by Daylight has a reputation for being brutal for newcomers, and honestly, it's a reputation the game has earned. So many players share stories of being absolutely crushed in their first few matches, feeling totally useless. This isn't just a matter of getting good. The problem goes much deeper. The game is built on a foundation of a system that creates a massive wall for fresh players, a structure that seems engineered to frustrate you. It all comes down to a confusing perk system, a tangled web of character licensing, and a currency grind that respects neither your time nor your money. Alright, the first reason I have is all of the perks. The first and biggest hurdle you'll face is the perk system in Dead by Daylight. Perks are everything. They're your build, your strategy, and frankly just your best chance at making it. And for a new player, the system is just a nightmare. Now to be fair, the game has improved things. You now start with all 4 perk slots unlocked, which is a huge big step up from how it used to be. But that's where the good news ends. The real problem is how you get perks you actually want. Each character has 3 unique perks, and to use them on other characters, you have to first prestige that original character. This forces you into a huge grind just to start experimenting with the powerful builds you see veteran players using. You're stuck using a handful of basic perks, which some can be good, like, Kindred, Deja Vu, while you're going against opponents who have access to every perk. It's not a learning curve, it's a resource gap. You are literally less equipped, and it's made far worse by the fact that many of the strongest perks are locked behind the characters you have to buy with real money. The game also demands you to do pretty much homework outside of the game. You almost have to watch hours of YouTube guides just to understand what hit you, because the in-game tutorials, while better than they were, still barely scratch the surface. You're not just fighting the other players, you're fighting the game's own convoluted system. I mean, you don't understand a killer until you either A, play them, or watch a video on them. Alright, my second reason is the licensing. Next up is something that should be the game's biggest strength. It's character licensing. Bringing in horror icons from Michael Myers in its first license, or most recently with Springtrap, is a massive draw. It's also a hidden trap for new players. These licenses can be complicated, sometimes temporary, and they create a messy and confusing experience. For example, content can be completely removed from the store because of licensing deals ending. We saw this with Stranger Things. I believe it's back now, but Stranger Things was pulled for about a year. This means if you joined after it was gone, you couldn't have accessed it for a while until it came back. It wouldn't have, though. There was a chance it couldn't have, so some people could have just never had that. This focus on licensed content has also changed the game's identity. At times it feels less like a cohesive world and more like a revolving door of just crossovers. The game's long-term health is tied to these fragile legal deals, and the new players are the ones who pay the price when they fall apart. You're left with a confusing store, missing characters, and the nagging feeling that any part of the game you can invest in is just going to vanish. Alright, my third reason is the currency. And that brings us to our final reason, the soul-crushing currency grind. You're mainly chasing 2 things in Dead by Daylight, your blood points and your iridescent shards. Blood points are just for leveling up your characters through the blood web, which I could get into a slew of reasons on why that's just not good anymore. There's too many characters for how slow the blood point progression is, even though it's been buffed multiple times. But along with that, there's also iridescent shards. This is the quote-unquote free currency you use to unlock the non-licensed characters and perks. The problem? You earn the shards at a painfully slow rate, and it's tied to your level. Unlocking a single new character without paying can take weeks of consistent play. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 hours of your time. This doesn't feel like rewarding progression. It feels like a barrier meant to push you into buying Auric cells with real money. When you put it all together, the picture is pretty grim. You need specific perks to compete, but those perks are locked behind characters that you either have to pay for directly or grind for an unreasonable amount of time to unlock. It's a closed loop seemingly designed to make catching up almost impossible unless you open up your wallet. If any of this sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Share your own new player stories in the comments below. What was the biggest struggle you faced when you first started? And while you're there, think about subscribing for more deep dives into the games we love, and sometimes love to criticize. Alright, in summation, is Dead by Daylight setting up new players to fail? Well, when you look at it the ways I do, the perks, the licensing, and currency systems all working together, the answer is pretty clear. Yes. It's a game where your success isn't just determined by your skill, but by the hours you've ground out or the money you've spent before the match even starts. While that game can be incredibly fun once you've got over that mountain, there's no denying that that climb is intentionally brutal, designed to turn new players either into paying customers or just another sacrifice to the entity. Thanks for watching.